KoitCast.
Today's guest is a medium, seer, and transformational coach based in Perth, Western Australia. As a seer and intuitive guide, she possesses the unique ability to perceive the subtle energies of what's holding you back and deeper truths that often elude others. Please give a huge Koit welcome to Sharon Richards. And now a quick request from me before the interview begins. Please can I ask you all to subscribe to this channel? It's very important as it helps me to attract new guests and to help this channel grow. Please also like, share the content and also comment on the videos. All these interactions will help my channel grow. Thank you ever so much. And now, over to the interview. Hi Sharon, welcome to KoitCast.
Hi Paul, how are you going?
I'm doing super lush today. More importantly, how are you? Are you good?
I'm really good. Thank you for asking. Yes.
Amazing. Hey, first off, thank you for coming to the podcast. It's much appreciated. I love it when I don't love it per se, but I appreciate when people give up their time to, to join a conversation. So thank you.
Yeah, and I love some of the, the recordings that you've got on KoitCast as well. There's a lot of really interesting topics to delve into. So yeah, you're doing a really beautiful job there.
Excellent. So take that as a little pointer from Sharon there, people. Go and watch the other interviews. There's plenty of good stuff to be mined. Thank you ever so much. Okay, so let's start then, Sharon. Who are you? Where are you from? Etc.
We're going to delve right in. So hello everyone, I'm Sharon Richards. I'm a spiritual medium here in Perth, but I'm also a spiritual coach as well. I'm delving back into that sort of side of things as well, because I'm very drawn to healing and the coaching element of my work now and wanting to put more of a therapeutic lens. So I'm from Perth, I think I might have said, but I'm from Perth, Western Australia. And I guess where are we going to start with this? So I guess my journey to understand why I specialize in the dark night of the soul, or helping people to transverse those shadow elements of themselves, so shadow coaching. You probably need to understand a little bit about my story, how I got into this space and why it's my life's work now, my life's purpose. I guess for me, as a young girl, and I want to pre-frame this, I was very blessed in some ways to have a very, very strong connection with the spirit world. When I was younger, it was so tangible, so real. It was like a near-death experience where I would see spirit in my room, I would hear spirit in my room. And some of those experiences when I was younger sort of shaped who I am today, although probably what I experienced when I was young, because I didn't have any sort of guidance around that, what that meant, how to navigate that, how to nurture that. And because of my upbringing, I guess when I was very young, that I went through quite a lot of, as a young girl, I felt very unsafe in my environment. And so the experiences I had with the spirit world when I was a little girl it scared me, it frightened me. Quite a lot. And it took me a very, very long time to be able to harness and work on that relationship with them, because I never felt safe within myself. But my spirit friends never left me. They never left me at all. And they were always there to guide me. And as a young girl, I was very intuitive by nature. I came in with a very strong sense of knowing, feeling, seeing spirit, but also knowing a lot about what other people were going through, like those spiritual aha moments, those spiritual intuitions that were really quite strong for me. And I guess through my own landscape as a child, they say in the Massey's development that sort of develops your psyche. So there was a lot of traumatic experiences when I was a young girl. Sort of led me when I was into my early teens, my late teens, that I wanted to shut down my gifts, turn them off. I didn't want to know about the experience, and because I'd had such a lot of traumatic experiences growing up, I also wanted to shut down not only my feelings and my emotions as well. And so that put me on a little bit of it put me on a trajectory that went down quite a dark path through my early 20s, where I would blanket myself. So I got into addictions. There was alcohol and drugs. I just wanted to shut everything down. It was very terrifying. But I still had the most strange experiences, like it's like physical mediumship, where I felt I felt things very, very strongly. When I'd have spirit in the room, I felt like they would be pushing me off the bed, or I would see things actually physically moving. And that, that just compounded that real, I guess, fear within me. So it was probably in about my mid-20s, I think I had my first dark night of the soul experience. And that was through a disastrous relationship. But through that experience, it turned me to God. It's when I shifted to God. And that's when I found my first teachers, beautiful teachers.
And I think that's a very lovely place to stop and revisit some of this then. So,
sure.
Are you okay talking about some of the stuff from your early years? I mean, you don't have to give full details, but I just didn't want to push if you're not.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when you're like really young, are we like talking like 3, 4, 5 or something like that, are we, when you first start seeing things? So
Yes, I was.
What do you see, or what did you see? What were the spirits, beings, or whatever? What are they doing?
So it's funny, because for me, it would always happen at nighttime. It would always happen at nighttime. So I felt the experience of someone sitting on my bed, and when I'd open up, I would, sometimes I would open up and I'd actually see spirits standing there over my bed as well. I would always have, there was, times where I felt that one of my great aunties had passed over and had come to visit me. But because I never had that guidance when I was young to help shape what that meant or what that felt like, what it did for me was actually produce a very strong fear of the dark. And it was because that's when a lot of the, I guess, experiences would happen as well. So not only that, what was something else? Like I would feel, sometimes I would see there was shifting or there was shaking in the bed as well.
When you say that, what do you mean? Like the quilt and covers,
the
that
bed
sort of thing?
actually shaking and
Oh,
shifting
whoa.
with me when I was younger. Yeah, a very physical, like physical in nature. I've sat in physical circles afterwards. I know that that's not where I would go, but I know that it naturally happens around me. Also hearing voices, like having people talk to me. Sometimes they were quite soothing, but sometimes it just used to scare me. And I guess because the nature of where I was growing up wasn't a safe space either, I did not know how to process that as a young child. It was quite scary for me. But I always had a close connection or affinity with Jesus and with Mother Mary, and that's just. And I'm not a religious. I don't come from a religious background either, but it's just the stories and hearing about those stories, and there's something about it that just brought ease and it just brought peace to my soul. And so learning to navigate those as a child was really quite, because some people it's like, oh, this was the best thing, like I had this best friend or whatever. For me, it wasn't that way. It wasn't till later on that I developed this really beautiful, close relationship with them. But yeah, at first, for many years, it wasn't that way. But they strongly influenced and guided my life in so many ways. And I know now that I probably wouldn't have made it through a lot of the. I probably wouldn't have made it through without that close connection.
And we'll definitely get into that side of things in a second, because
Sure.
obviously that's a really strong point. it always begs this question because I hear this quite a lot from people who say, when I was young, spirits or whatever were sat on the end of my bed, right? So I always think, why are they sat on the end of the bed? And then why do they always come at night? I don't get that. Because here's the thing, right? The human psyche is we are naturally scared of the unknown, i.e., what's in the
Yes, we
dark, right?
are.
So
Yeah,
why do
yeah.
they present themselves in the dark when they know that's how we respond with a fear response? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make
Yes.
sense.
Yes. Well, I guess that how I come to that, what comes to me is when I was doing a lot of study in my spiritual development around mediumship. You go back to the 1800s where physical mediumship was very tangible, was very much a part of everyday life. And that's because there was time, I guess, in the evening where there wasn't a lot of things going on around you, that the energy was just in the right environment to be able to produce that physical sense in the mediumship, that physical nature. And I guess nighttime, you need that stillness, you need that dark, not so much the dark, but the stillness, the quietness for that energy to, I guess, to elevate, to potentialize around you. So that's my feeling and thoughts on it. And it's funny because a lot of the time I still get visitations at nighttime. I still have spirit come through at nighttime. Sometimes during the day, but it's more so at night. And it's just, now like I just see glimpses, or I see, on the corner of my eye when they're actually outside of me, not so much coming through my mediumship faculties, but when they're around, I feel them, and it's more in the evening. So I don't know. We're going to have to ask them the story. Why do they come at nighttime?
Well, yeah, exactly. Why do they come at nighttime, and then why do they present in a way that scares you?
Yeah.
There's
Well,
got
I
to be a
guess it's
softer approach. Don't you think, though?
Well, I absolutely agree. I guess what I'm trying to preframe here is, as a child, I didn't have that understand. I didn't come from parents that understood spirit communication. Even though my mum was, my mum is a medium and my grandmother was a medium, my mum didn't shape that for me. She was quite scared of her gifts as well. And it was like whenever I talked about it, it was shut down. I don't want to know about it.
Okay.
Don't talk about it, because of my mum's own fears. So I guess those fears were actually, sort of, I took on a lot of those fears as well. But I guess it's how you were nurtured in that space. If you had your family members that are around you, or siblings that are around you that nourish that gift, that actually help you to blend with that gift and learn about that gift, it becomes second nature. But for me, it took quite a while for me to develop that connection. It's like when you go into, to trance or something like that, you don't straight away, you have to build up that rapport and that relationship and that connection. You have to trust, and that takes time to develop. It doesn't just happen straight away. So if you're a child that comes from that sort of experience in life, it will take a while to learn to trust, to connect,
Mm.
and building that. But they, as I said, they never left me. They were always around me, and they have, there's been some stories I'll share where, they've come in and I've learned to develop that myself with connection, with my spirit connection over time.
The other image that was in my head is again quite seemingly quite a common thing. What you said, where you wake up and then they're like almost standing or bending or straight over your face. That's also a really scary image, isn't it? It reminds me of the alien thing where you wake up and then there's an alien there or whatever. That's freaky because if that was a physical thing, you wake up and there's a guy in your room looking over you, like you're like, what the? So again, why that?
I can laugh at it now, but yes, it is.
Yes.
I remember one night, like I'll just put the sheets over
Mm.
me, and that, like I didn't want to. I was like frozen for the night. It was that scary for me.
Mm.
Why do they do that? I have no idea, but I guess their curiosity within them as well.
But here's the weird thing with that, right? I get the curiosity thing to a degree, but if they're a spirit that comes here and they've passed on a while, they know this experience, so they know that would frighten them. So I don't understand it. Do you know
Could
what I
be.
mean? Is it a
Yes,
question that you
yes.
could ask to them? So say like later on tonight after we've done all this, would you ask that question? Why do you appear this way when you know we're
Absolutely.
scared by it?
Especially as little children.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I don't understand the process in their mind why it's done that way when they know that we would be scared by it. Unless it's for a reason, i.e. to like jolt you or something.
Well, I think for me, why they came through so tangible and so in my life like that, because of the experiences that I was living in that time. And for me, not understanding that, but they wanted to let me know, hey, we're around, we are here, we love you, and we're not letting go. And, it's like a little child that sees a stranger for the first time, she'll go and hide
Mm.
behind, her mum or dad until she learns to trust herself and to come out and to be curious about life. I was never, I was fearful of life. I never was curious about life until later on. But yeah, it's now I know, let's have a chat here. Don't come in like that.
Yeah,
don't,
don't.
don't wake me up in the middle of the night, and don't pop in out without being, announcing yourself first, because I don't, I scare very easy these days.
One final thing on this early scariness side of things, right? You know,
Yes,
when they were talking, were they speaking English?
yes, they were. Yes, they were.
Okay.
I absolutely believe, and I never got to meet my grandmother, because she passed when I was actually probably just been born. So I believe it was my grandmother that was there overseeing that, but I'd never seen her. So I didn't know who she was.
Okay.
But I felt, a lot of the time I felt I felt that there was no harm there. It was just the freakiness. It was just the fearfulness that as a child, I didn't understand my gifts. I didn't understand what I was seeing. This is not, like I don't see this in my daytime. Why am I seeing this at nighttime? Why are they
Mm.
coming to me? I didn't know about that. And there's a lot of children, that go through that experience. But I guess there's a lot more awareness now of the spirit world and how it works, and how, we're all connected in some way, and we have these beautiful gifts, and how to, to flourish and nurture them instead of being fearful of them.
Well, what it suggests to me is either we here need a better education process to say this is going to happen for some of you at night. When it happens, no, it's not a dodgy thing. Or, from their perspective, they need to change their procedures. Or both. I don't know.
Absolutely. And like, kids are naturally gifted. I feel like I came in with all my lights on. It was, and I know both my brothers have the same experience as well, though they probably had a different life trajectory. But one of my brothers, he, is saying he was over in East, somewhere overseas, where spirit was standing over him. He's like, "What the hell?
Yeah,
What
don't
was
do
that?
that.
What was that?" Yes.
Stop it immediately. Here's a strange question, but I thought of it, so I'm going to ask it nonetheless.
Uh,
It's a bit devil's advocate-y, so please bear with me. Are we,
okay.
in a way, being used? And what I mean by that is because we're approached when we're young, it's almost like we're being pushed in a direction. Is it a grooming of sorts into spirituality or seeing spirits or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Because if for the people that don't have that experience at young, they're not aware of it, so their lives go in a different direction. Because it's happened to you, where you're seeing them, your lives is pushed in a different direction. Do you see what I mean? Can we look at
Yes,
it
I
that
do
way?
see what you mean. I do see what you mean. I feel that we all have this ability within us. It's whether it's been nurtured within ourselves. You know, you may come from a family that doesn't believe in this, so you take on that cycle, you know, that psychological sort of framework that is within that family. We're not supposed to believe in this, not because really when you connect into your creativity, your imagination, when you know, that's where you're harnessing or you're using those gifts. I think grooming is probably a harsh word to
I
use.
agree, by the way.
It makes it, yeah, it just sounds a little bit harsh, but it has shaped my life. I can't help who I am. I can't help. It is just part of my life. I don't know anything different. I tried to put the blanket over it. I tried to, you know, to squash it away, but it's just so part of me. It's just a part of me. I really don't know a life without having my beautiful spirit friends around me.
That leads me on to this question, which is, right, you
Sure.
said that you switched your gift off. I'm always intrigued by that, and I've asked this of a number of guests before. Even my girlfriend, she sees spirit, and she said she turns it off, right? I'm I don't know how to ask this question, but what is the process of turning off? How do you know that you're turning stuff off, and how does that work? I don't understand it.
Okay, so let me just say right now, where I am right now,
Hmm.
I don't have my gifts switched on all the time because it's boundaries for me, and boundaries are very, very important. When I am on platform or when I'm doing demonstration or when I'm with someone, I turn my switch off. I switched it off. I switch it on. And that's when I'm in that beautiful flow with spirit. And that's when I'm being able to, you know, bring through the communicator and the essence and be with them. I don't want to be, it's like having someone, you know, peeking over your fence all the time. You don't want that. So when I switch on and off,
When I'm
that's
sunbathing, I do. I always like them looking at me, you know. So how do you switch it off, though? What are you
and
physically
this is
doing?
absolutely, and I think it's about boundaries as well because you, it's in, you can't have that light switched on. I can't anyway. I can't have that light that way my gifts switched on 24/7 because otherwise I would feel absolutely drained. Even though I love being in that, in the power and the presence and the essence of my spirit and being in that divine flow, I do need to come down because you're raising your vibration, you're raising your energy up to meet that of spirit world, and that takes a lot of. It's taken me a lot to learn about the power and the essence and how to be in that environment to maintain it all the time. So that's why I like to make sure that I turn it down and I replenish myself, I replenish my power. But to say that when I was younger, so when I was in my teenage years, and that's where life went, you know, went down a very dark path of addictions and, you know, all sorts of things, that the shutting down for me was numbing myself. And by that is through my addictions. And I
Hmm.
did not want to see, I did not want it, but hear from spirit, see spirit, but they still, you know, I still had experiences where it would sort of bubble up and spill over in, you know, in the most unusual ways. People didn't want to know about, you know, the things that I could see around them, or this, you know, when we went out where I could see, you know, because I live in Fremantle's a very old place in Perth, where there's still a lot of physical activity, a lot of spiritual activity when you go out into some of these places, so that I could actually see, you know, I knew that spirit were around. There was some sort of mirage or memory left in some of those places. But for me, it was numbing. I had to numb because it was just too much, too much for me to contain.
So that was more of a physical turning off because you use substances to numb yourself, therefore, you know, your
Absolutely.
senses were dulled, so to speak. But when, like now, what are you physically doing in your mind or whatever to turn off and on?
Okay. So I see it like a TV screen.
Right.
I see a TV screen and I will just say, all right, turn it on when I want to turn it on, and turn it off when I want to turn it off. And I say a little prayer and intention as well. It's time, like I'll see myself go into where I need to go to for mediumship to occur, or when I'm using other soul gifts as well. So I'll go into a very special place. But when it's time to turn it off, it's like turning a TV switch down, saying, okay, it's time to turn off. And I thank, the spirit communicators that come through. I'll evaluate what did I learn from that experience? What did we learn from being on platform, and how can I improve? How can I do better? But then off it goes. And then that's it. I come back into the body. But I think it's really important to understand and navigate the tapestry of the body and the nervous system to be able to replenish that power and that energy within yourself.
So your imagery of turning down or on whatever, like presumably the old dials on the television where you used to have to do that.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, I do remember that. It doesn't have to be a TV. It could be a radio. It could be something else. It's just a specific image for a specific person. Is that all it is?
Absolutely, absolutely. So when I'm blending in with spirit, I see the dial, and it's like I'm turning up the dial, and that's like the power. And then when I'm finishing, I'm turning down the dial. And then I'm turning it off. You hear that little click at the end? Remember the little click bit?
I do.
It's off. And that's what I feel. And then I'll just touch, like I touch my power center, which is, just in the solar plexus area, touch that. And I usually touch my head as well. It's like, we're turning off now. And I guess it's like a pattern. The more, it's a habit, a pattern that you do. So the more that you do that, it's like, zoop, we're up, zoop, we're down. And you're creating that through kinesthetic, through touch.
Then that it lends itself to this final question, which is it the imagery that you chose in your mind that's important, or is it the intention of turning on or off?
It's the intention.
Right, so the imagery then is irrelevant, but that's just for your mind to see it, sort of visualize it.
Absolutely. It's, when I go into NLP, they talk about, sort of, there's different anchors you can use.
Sorry, what's NLP?
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Okay, thank you.
It's it's a bit of a mouthful. It's my background. It's blending of neuroscience with spiritual lens as well. So when we create anchors, they can be used through either imagery or through touch or through smell. But the repeated patterns are just creating that let's say muscle. It's a spiritual memory or a muscle memory within you. It's like down. So that's how I turn it off and turn it on now. But also what's important to me is boundaries in my work, because I do not want to be poking into other people's, sort of energies around them or into their life, or, tell people they've got, grammar and they haven't invited me to do so. I just feel that that's not the right thing to do. And I'm someone that's very grounded in my spirituality. And not only is it important to me, but it's respectful for me, and it's respectful for anyone else as well.
Have you ever walked around, like, as an experiment for a whole day with everything turned on, so you could just wonder what a day would be like out and about?
I just went to go to a shopping centre.
yeah, that's what I mean. So it's weird today. I saw like 58 spirits in the shopping centre. I went to the cinema. There was a couple watching a film with me. Does that happen?
Because I've had chronic fatigue. So going back some time ago, I've had chronic fatigue, and I was out for 6 years with my energy. My body is very much a barometer of how my energy and my power. So having gone through that experience taught me a lot about my body, how to maintain my body, boundaries, listening to my body. I was at a point, I guess, during that phase where I found it very difficult to be out in public. I was so sensitive. I was chemically sensitive. I was energetically sensitive to a lot of things. So going to a shopping centre would drain me. Going through that experience of having, chronic fatigue for 6 years, as much as it was very difficult, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about spiritual hygiene, about energy, about my body, and how and listening to my body. Now I have the power within me. Like, I am more of an introvert, extrovert. I can go out, I can be in public, I can be in, other places I normally wouldn't go to where there's a lot of people, and have a good time. But I also can come home and go, this is where I charge up at home. This is how I build my energy. So for me, no, I don't want to have it on all the time, because I've learned over time to balance my energy system in order to maintain my emotional, mental, physical health.
No, that's fair. I have one more question on the younger years before we move into the dark night of the soul, you called it. Which is well, yeah. Well, maybe we'll cover them all. You were obviously, they were coming to you. What were they aiming to communicate at that point? Do you think? Is it just we're here?
I think if I tune in now, I know that it's not only that I'm here, but you are loved and you are guided and you're supported and you're not alone. And I felt very alone. I felt very unsupported. And for me, it's also quite emotional as well, because back then I didn't realize that that's what they were trying to communicate to me. And, for some people it's like, wow, I wish I had had that gift and, I would have flourished. You don't know what you don't know, and it took me quite a long time to build that relationship with them, and to actually step in, instead of being afraid and fearful of my gifts, to step into it, to own it. If I had to go through the experiences, which I'm probably going to talk to you about, in order to cultivate that beautiful journey within myself for self-love, self-compassion.
Do you think then that the trauma in an early age or any age kicks off these visitations more in people? Because if we're not getting support in the physical world, so they need to bring a bit in to help you out.
Well, I think that's probably a beautiful way of looking at it. I believe so. A lot of the mediums that I have been connected to, that I work closely with, have gone through some horrific things in their life. Horrific. And I think the experiences have actually led them to the unfolding of, there's something more to life. There's something more than this, this day-to-day life. There's actually another world out there. It's quite profound, some of the stories that I hear, and some of the ways that spirit comes in and it touches you just at the time when your gifts start to flourish or to unfold, when the soul is ready. Some, we've come in and it was like, that's what we came in, and perhaps that's part of our soul's plan. But for others, it's through a traumatic experience in their life that's when they turn to their soul. They turn to understanding the essence of their soul. This is where they want to reach out and feel the tangibleness of that connection with their past, their loved one that's just passed over. That grief is so surmountable that it breaks open something within them.
It's a remarkable thing to think about. Yeah,
it's a beautiful question, actually.
World. Thank you. I'll put that in the tally chart. One good one. So let's move into your teenage years, or where you were using substances, etc. Do you think those experiences of being in that dark state are necessary for you to learn so that you can do something in the future? Is it a training step for you?
I believe so. I believe every challenge and every sort of traumatic experiences leads us somewhere in life. And it's really the turning within ourselves, within our soul, that connection with our soul and understanding our soul. It's like different cultures. I was doing some study about this the other day because I'm very fascinated by rites of passage. And rites of passage happen, at certain areas of our life. Usually around the teenage years, is the first rite of passage where you go from being, connected to your parents, where you have to find that inner strength and resilience within yourself. And so there you will go on a journey. It could be that you have to go and, survive out in the wilderness on your own. And that's when you have to learn those experiences to shape you into turning inwards, to find that inner strength, to find that inner resilience. And I feel my experiences through that teenage years that led me through quite a very dark journey, led me inwards. It led me to connecting to my soul. It led me, to developing self-compassion and self-love. And even though at the time the experiences were quite, it's, I wouldn't be who I am today without them. But I do see them as a teacher. And, life isn't perfect. We're all going to have challenges throughout our life. We've all had these, these dark moments, these light moments. That, life is not full of all the darkness. There's other things as well. But these moments just shape who you are and who you're meant to be. And I now use some of those experiences in my life.
That's what I was getting to. It's because I know that you use that to help people who've also gone through dark periods or trying to find the way to the light from them. Was it necessary for you to go for it so you had an understanding so you could then fully help someone?
I think so. It's an apprenticeship in a way, isn't
Yes,
it? Because you have
yes.
to go through the experience of having that to be able to understand other people. I believe that's what, yeah, absolutely. And it's like when I'm connecting in with the spirit world in my mediumship as well, I know that feeling. I know that feeling when someone has committed suicide. I know that feeling when someone has passed of a drug overdose. I know that feeling because I've had that experience in this lifetime where people have done those or I've had felt those within myself. And so, yes, you need, in a way, those experiences are teachers, and they're your soul. They when you learn to how to cultivate and process that through your body, it becomes part of your soul's medicine, your soul's mission in this lifetime to guide others through those tough terrains. Is probably the last thing I ever thought that I'd be doing.
Yeah, I know that's the weird thing is I look when I analyze this from not just your story, from my own personal experience and from other people I've spoken to, it's like we're on a trajectory, right, to get to somewhere generally later in life or more towards later in life where we do the work, we'll call it. And everything leading up to that is a training for us to be able to do X, Y, or Z, right? Then it makes me ask, are we some tool for something else? Do you see where I'm going with that? Are we not necessarily a pawn? I've used that word incorrectly before, but are we then some measure of tool for somebody else's agenda? Do you understand where I'm
Maybe
going
it's
with
our
that?
soul's agenda.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me
Well,
think that.
we're a part of that soul, aren't we?
Mm,
I look at our life here as being like a school. We've come here to school, and the the earth is school. Our life is the teacher, and
okay.
it's we go through the different lessons in as part of our soul's plan. I feel like there's a part of us that already knows when we come here. Oh, what do you want to work on in this lifetime? Well, I want to come this, and this. Okay, so off we go. And that's where we develop that soul growth. We need this journey in this lifetime in order to grow. Is is it I think that we signed up for it. I do believe that. I do believe we've signed up for it in some way. I can see that now, but I couldn't always see that then. It's like, why me? Why me? You know, why is this always happening to me? But that's the victim part of me. It was through the dark night, those periods of refinement, that I can actually say, why not me? Why not me? Because I see the beauty in my soul, and it's taken those experiences to lead me to where I am today.
I know you said you were fascinated with the in fact, I've literally forgotten what you were fascinated with. What's that word you it's literally about 5 minutes ago. My brain is crap, so I do apologize.
It's okay.
You're fascinated by a certain thing in life, and I'm also fascinated by what I call the nudge phenomenon, which is sending people on different paths. Right. So, what
Okay.
was the one you said a few minutes ago you're fascinated with?
Oh, I can't remember what I said now.
No, we're both crap, aren't we?
It's
Eh?
maybe the journey of life, or the experiences that help shape us to who we are. Self-reflection is so important as part of that journey. You know, as I said, we can be so locked into being the victim instead of saying, well, what's this experience teaching us? How are we growing? You know, I know that I've come in, and it's like I want growth. I know that within my soul. I want growth. I don't know why I want that. I just know that I need that. It's part of, of my medicine, my soul's medicine. And that's what interests me. I think the soul is fascinating.
It is.
Much sitting there and understanding, being curious about all those different parts of you that come up. It's like your medicine is so important.
Are you interested in Sharon's growth though, or your soul's growth? Which one?
Well, I'm Sharon, and my soul are all one.
So, both then, yeah. It makes me ask this question. If we're souls, everlasting light beings, how do we grow?
How do we grow? I think it is understanding and having experiences in life. So we grow through having the experience that we have in life. For instance, I've grown in myself because I'm cultivating a place where I can come in. I'm finding more inner peace. I'm finding more self-compassion. I'm finding more love within myself. So when I'm going through difficult, challenging situations, because we all will, I'm not so triggered by them. Or it's like I can hold space within myself to be able to navigate those difficult terrains within myself. It's like I've built a strength, I've built a resilience within me. And it's not that I'm pushing away anything. I'm actually leaning in and accepting those aspects of myself that are coming through. For me, that is growth.
I I like the answer, but I don't necessarily know that it went down the angle that my question
Okay.
intention was. So I'll reframe it just to help. Um, so say we're a light being, we'll just call it over there, up there, right? If we're this almost omnipotent life, lighty essence thing, why do we need to grow? How does that get bigger if that's already amazing and knows everything, does stuff? Or
Well,
am I
you see,
framing it wrong?
I understand it's like, okay, so I'm this soul being, okay, and I've made a decision. I'm coming down to this earth plane to have an experience, and the earth is going to be my school, and my soul's going, and being on earth is going to be this. The experiences are going to be the teacher. And I guess each lifetime, I feel this is my experience. Each lifetime is I'm learning something new. Why do I need to learn that? It's a very good question, but I feel like it's always leading us back to God. That's what I feel. And I feel that part of us that is connected, that spirit, that soul's essence with oneness with God. is just experiencing life in all its shapes and forms and tapestry. And it's coming to a place of not judging, of just experiencing and cultivating that love until you become merged with the one. I guess a lot of philosophies, I have read some philosophies around, where you come in through past, soul karma, where you come in and you relive things because you're learning this and you're learning that and you're having to go through lessons. For me, it's just about that coming back in and being one with God until we realize that it's like we come in forgetting and then we realize. And I think that is the journey.
Okay. Another side adjunct question to that, which is this. Excuse me. We're told that time doesn't exist, right? And it's a construct for this physical reality in which we live, right? If spirits are outside of the time shenanigans and they can see your beginning, your end, and past our beginnings and ends, why do they need to come in to experience when it can be seen at every point? And that's what happens.
I know what's going to happen. I'm not going to jump. I'm not going down there.
Yeah. I don't understand why the need for experience, because if you can see everything, then you don't need the experience because you've already got it because you've watched it.
I guess it's the lived experience, isn't it?
I think that's the only answer, isn't it?
It's the lived experience. It's like me having to go through what I've been through in order for me to be a guide. Now, I don't like calling myself a coach or guide because I'm guiding people through their inner tapestry. It's because I've had that lived experience. I know what that feels like. I know where people are at. I know the journey. And that's what we're here. It's all very experiential. Don't take anything so literally. It feels like it, doesn't it?
It really does, because we are living stuff. We're living in a time and place where things are literally happening. If I hit my hand on this table right in front of me, that happens. And it hurts. Yeah. So I'm not going to do it. I kind of want to now, but I'm not.
But there are some people that have cultivated a practice within themselves that no matter what pain they go through, and some of these rites of passage people, they're putting...
That's it, rites of passage you were fascinated with. That's it.
Yes, fascinating. Oh, rites of passage, yes.
That's what I was meaning earlier.
They've got to a point where they don't feel pain.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's like they can transcend that.
I don't understand that one at all. If I hit my hand on something, I know about it.
But you'd have to go through that experience in order to transcend it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a mind exploder, that one. So I'm going to move off that because
I don't mind a good mind explosion.
No, I love the theory and the thoughts behind it, but there's only so far you can get because you don't have access to all the other data to be able to make a rational thought on it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Right. So when you were going through your difficult period in your teens, and you said that things would sometimes bubble over, even with you suppressing things with drugs and alcohol, etc. Can you give us a couple of tales when things did bubble over and then make you go, whoa?
Sure. Where do I start here? It's funny because it's a really dark period of my life, and I have, I've visited this many, many times, but now it's sort of like it's interesting. But a lot of the bubbling over would happen. So if I'd been out on a night, and because a lot of the drugs and alcohol, I guess, would create another opening for me. I would have experiences with spirit, especially, if I've been out, it's like I could see spirit, but it felt like when I came home, the whole pub would come home with me. I would
come back to my house. I got loads of whiskies and spirits, literally. Yeah.
Yeah. And, and some of them weren't pleasant. at all. And it's funny because in my spiritual, in my spiritual education, when I was learning mediumship, it's like, only mums and dads and auntie and uncles come through, and any of the dark stuff, they don't talk about that. They did when I was in that era. But I guess that's because the energy that I was in at that time, I was feeling very, very dark. So I would have the experiences of having, spirit that would come home and feeling very frightened, very scared of that. I was someone that didn't sleep very well at all. I had to sleep with the lights on a lot of the time. This is where I had a lot of bed shaking going on, or just some really dark stuff, feeling quite dark in myself. But I guess, when you are taking those substances, you open up to all sorts of thought forms, energies that are not they're gravitating towards my light. What else?
So that shaking of the bed, though, would you put that down to a negative entity trying to frighten you or carry on the fear, or was it a good light entity trying to wake you up?
No, I felt like it was a dark entity.
Okay.
There was also the night where so I had a couple of experiences, but the darkest one that I'd ever felt was the night where I wanted to. It was like I wanted to give up alcohol and drugs altogether. I'd had enough. That was enough for me. And I asked Spirit to guide me to someone that was able to help me to give that up. And we'll delve into that story. But that night was like the darkest night of my life. And that is where I saw Spirit in my room, and it was dark. And it was like trying to stop me from going forward into that transformation, that healing journey that I need to go on to give it all up altogether. I've also, so there was that dark night that really spooked me a lot, but I was able to let go of that, and that, through that experience, I know that there is dark and light out there, but a lot of it's got to do, I think the dark and light, you need to heal within yourself first. You need to look at those parts of yourself. I'm more scared about cleaning my own house than going out there and looking for, the darkness of life that is out there. But I think your mindset, your energy attracts and creates your experiences in life. And because that dark, that whole dark period, I had really shaped a lot of my fears of the dark, and fearing my gifts and seeing the tangibleness of my gifts that not only frightened me, but frightened, a few people that were around me at that time as well.
Did they see things move in that?
Yeah.
Whoa. Like what? Like books and stuff flying off shelves and that?
Yeah, I make fun of it now, like when when I was with some friends of mine, and I was just going to sit down and watch the rugby. Next thing is, what's that smell? I can smell tobacco. I said, your granddad, seer. It's like, seriously? Next minute the book fell over. He goes, no.
And he buggered off, yeah. Yeah. I have a question for you about the light and the dark. Right, so spirit world. When we envisage it and we think about it, we always think glowy, lighty, love and harmony, etc.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I was trained. Yep.
Yeah, which makes sense, to always think of the positive. But with the darkness, which comes with the fear, and that you live in this negative space at that time, it seems like there's an opposite, which is the dark realm of spirit world. Is it one world, or is it two separate things vying for us?
I feel, this is my thoughts on this. I feel like we gravitate towards groups that we are, at our vibrational level. It's like gangs that hang out together, and there's a lower vibration to a higher vibration.
Okay.
So I feel like, there are different, unless you're there, you don't know, but I feel like there are different dimensions that we are naturally gravitating towards based on our energy and our thought forms, or at the time of passing. It's when I would be out and come home and feel like I've had half the pub there, a lot of them were like drunks. Like, I felt like they were, people that had not gone. Well, it's not to say they hadn't gone to the light, but I felt like they were people that liked to gravitate towards that sort of lifestyle. They may have led that lifestyle, and hence they still like to hang out in those lives, in those sort of energies, because there's something they're feeding off. And I know through my own exploration as well, there's certain, it's like some energies just like to feed off certain vibrational energies, especially in those lower sort of scale of vibration, if that makes sense. That's why ritual, thought forms are really powerful. The power of thoughts. I heard once, someone that was playing with thought forms and was able to actually create this entity through that. It's a known scientific experience that he did that could create something. And I think a lot of those thought forms go out there and they gravitate towards those vibrational energies that we are, inclined to hang out in. That's what I feel anyway. But there are definitely darker forces here. But I think
don't like the sounds of that, but yeah, there
well,
is.
there are, because they're dark. Like there's darker people here. We're all, we have a range, don't we? We have a range, and some people just, their ego is still where they're at, and that's as far as they're going to sort of expand in this lifetime. We don't, whether they're experiences that I feel like I've had some of those experiences perhaps in other lifetimes where I've played the dark part, but we need to play those dark parts in order to know the other side of ourselves as well. So we need to go through those shadows and light in order to understand ourselves.
It makes me ask this question. Is it really a good versus evil battle for us? Battle for the soul? I.e. there's a, like you were mentioning, like there's a dimension of dark and then there's a dimension of light, and they're trying to pull us in a direction, or are we pushing ourselves into these directions?
That's a very interesting question, because it's like there's a battle going on within ourselves, isn't there?
Yeah.
And
So is it us doing it then? Yeah.
I think it's us doing it. I think it's us.
God, we're crap, aren't we?
The more that I explore that, because there were so many times where, when I'd have parts of myself that would come up that were feeling dark, or feeling, depression and sadness and anxiety and anger, and I push those parts away from me. In the work that I've cultivated, especially using the frameworks that I use now, it's like I'm actually bringing them back in. I'm honoring them. I'm accepting them. I'm bringing them back in, because that's where love transforms those parts. I believe all parts of us are playing a part, or they're there to protect us in some way, and they're acting from the emotional maturity that we're at the time. That's how they were created. So in order to bring them back in, trauma, whatever, has fragmented it, and it's playing its role, it's doing its job. That's what we, at that emotional age that it was created, playing at. But as you become more self-aware, when you become more cultivated in self-love, that's when you can bring those parts back in and help them come back into that place of wholeness and matureness within ourselves, so that they're still part of you, but they've matured. They've grown, they've understood. They're still there to support you in some way. So we're not pushing them away. So I feel with, any of those, and there's a lot of, there's still darkness going on outside of us as well. But it's through unconditional love. Everyone's had a journey. Some people have got stuck. some spirits may have got stuck, but it's not pushing them away. It's not being frightened of them. It's actually just unconditional love, and it's their choice. That's my thoughts anyway on that whole subject.
Oh, that's fair. One final question on this one, which is, what was your weapons of choice? Not that I want to glorify it, but in alcohol and the drugs, what were you doing?
Okay. So mainly alcohol, and then I went into speed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
None of the injecty stuff, though.
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. No,
No, I
no,
agree.
no. But it was, even that was quite a powerful sort of teacher in a way. I feel, and a lot of people say this, and this is my experience. In some ways, it connected me when I was in those peak states, where it connected me to something that I wanted, something that I, wanted to explore, to feel, or to experience, that bliss, that sort of state. And I know that a lot of people that go into those sort of arenas in their life are wanting that experience of God, but they're just going through it the wrong way. And it's through those experiences that, and when you see what it does to your life and what the impact it is you're still searching for something within yourself. I believe that searching is self-love. That is the key of what going in and, tapping into that soul's unique essence, that soul's love, and being in that oneness state.
I'm going to ask you another question now on this, even though I haven't got it written down, but I want to ask.
Sure.
Like we plan our lives, so to speak. That's what we think is happening, that we're planning to go in to do these experiences. Let's just say you were a drunk for 2 years. I'm making up an arbitrary figure, right? Your plan was to come in to experience what you'd experienced for a couple of years, just so that you could use that in your life going forward. Presumably, the other people that go into lifelong drunks, do they have the same thoughts? I'll go into it for a couple of years, then I know I'm going to come out of that and do something else. What happens to make them stuck in there? Because presumably your life experience isn't, I'm going to come in to be a drunk at 16 and stay there till I die at 58 or whatever. What sort of plan's that?
It's not a really good plan, is it?
Yeah. So
You get
is there
stuck
some measure of
somewhere, don't
us
you?
changing within incarnated form?
All right. Well, let's put it this
Excuse
way.
me.
My soul spoke out to me and said, "You need to change." That sort of awakening for me came through a dream, and it was the most profound dream that I ever had. So in this dream, I had two dreams in the one night, and I knew so loud, so clear. It's like, your life needs to change. And then in the first dream, I saw these railroad tracks, and there was a train coming down. And, I was all dolled up, ready to go out, high heels on, and I'm on this train track, and my heel got caught, and I could see the train coming. And then it went blank. And I knew that that dream was telling me something. And, when a dream sits with you for like, I don't remember a lot of my dreams, but I remember these two dreams. It's like, that was my life, and going down this path, this is what's going to happen if you continue. And so in the next dream, I went into this very old, ancient, antique store, and everything was really old and really dusty. And as I walked in there, I saw this grand piano. And this grand piano was sort of hidden. It was all, sort of had scratches and dust. But I knew instinctively that that grand piano was worth an unequivocal amount of dollars. It was so valuable, and yet no one could see the value, but I did. And I knew that I had to buy that grand piano, and I knew that I had to reshape it and remodel it and bring it back to life again. And I believe it was my soul saying that that piano, that grand piano, was me. And that was the journey that I needed to take. I feel that people, and you're saying, you know, why do people stay on a trajectory of being, you know, drug addict or alcoholism? I can only say from my own experiences is that something keeps you stuck, something keeps you in that protective nature where you do not want to explore those other parts of yourself. You've learned to protect yourself. It's like the ego has come in and this is how life is going to be. This is how, you know, I batten down the hatches and, you know, hold on for dear life. I saw, you know, I had an experience recently actually where a gentleman had passed over, and I was bringing through him, and he had gone through quite a grief. He'd lost his wife. He didn't know how to process grief. He didn't know how to deal with grief. And he showed me, he said he went to the pub every night and for years. And through that experience, he lost a lot of connections with his, it was with his daughter and with other family members because of his drinking and alcoholism. And it was one night that he showed me that him and his son drove home and they passed over in a car accident because they were both drunk. He just didn't know how to sit with himself, how to deal with his grief. Instead, he had that experience where he just used his protectors, his numbingness to get through that period. Is that a right or wrong thing? I don't think we're here to judge anyone. I think it's just an experience, but I think we have choice. We have free will and choice. It's not all pre-planned and destined. We have free choice. Like I opted to grow. I opted to take another path. My soul gave me a very clear message. You go one way, this is how it's going to end, or you go this way. The choice is yours. And I feel like everyone has that choice. It's whether you take that path or not.
So everyone will be presented with, as an example, with a dream like you had, and you choose to accept it or ignore it, that sort of thing. And then, so that's why
and
people would get stuck.
Absolutely. We can, you know, when we go through these experiences, we can either, you know, stay in suffering or we can move beyond suffering or we can transform. Surrender or suffer.
Yeah, I don't want to suffer, so let's not do that.
I don't think anyone really wants to suffer.
Suffering's not that great. So you came back to, or you entered the journey fully into mediumship in your 40s, according to your website. So what awakened at that state and brought you back or brought you into it?
So it was, I was going through a lot of, this is where I had a lot of my energy was not well, my health wasn't well, and I came back to Perth to be, you know, I had to stay with my mum whilst I went through that journey of healing myself. And through that, I met some beautiful teachers, and I'd given up, you know, as I said, I'd given up alcohol. One night was through a session with NLP, with neuro-linguistic, completely cleared my addiction. So that just sent me on a healing journey within, but the healing journey entailed me having to go through chronic fatigue for 5 or 6 years and to learn about my body, to learn about my spiritual, emotional, mental health, healers along the way. And that is when I had spirit around me a lot. Like I could feel them around me. They would be touching me, or I could see them through the corner of my eye. I got to a point where, oh, yes, it's come back again. Not that they ever left, but it came back even stronger. And it was like nudging me. And it's like, oh, I have to go and I have to face my fears and I need to learn about this. And that's where I found my teacher. There's a Samantha Julie, she's got a school here, and I went and sat in circle for a number of years to learn about my gift, to harness my gift, to learn about the whole how this all works and how we connect with spirit. But I think the work that I did outside, by understanding my soul, my soul's nature, having to understand the hero's journey that we go through from the darkness in through the shadows through to the light, to understand that, to cultivate that, to be able to really deepen my connection with my gifts as an intuitive, but also as a medium as well. So that called me in. So that was really quite. It came knocking, and I could not go and explore that. It's like I wanted to conquer this once and for all. And that's where I started to a beautiful relationship with spirit. And that's when I met my other mentor, Mark. So I started to develop in trance with him as well. And I loved trance. I love how, that blending with spirit happens. And through that journey, my mediumship has taught me so much. I did a lot of work with the SNU, also in the UK, but I felt something was missing in all of this. It's like mediumship took me so far, and the spirit world took me so far, and they're going there, but there's more. And I was like, I just didn't. I knew that there was something missing, so I would have people sitting with me, and they'll go through the depths of grief. And I could see that they were quite, they were traumatized. And even though I can bring their loved ones through and offer a little bit of comfort, there's something missing. And for me, my soul was curious about progressing mediumship into another lens, like a therapeutic lens. How can we bring this in so that the person that is opposite you, that is grieving, that's has gone through the dark night, how can they have that experience of feeling their loved ones? And that's where I feel my mediumship is coming into play. But then I also felt very drawn into, and this is where I started to go into the healing world. And very drawn into navigating people through that dark night of the soul, through the experiences that have been holding them back in life, to understand, to unwind some of those pieces, to help deepen their connection not only with themselves and how their gifts work and how that can tap into their nervous system, but also to deepen their connection with spirit, with their own intuition. And that is a felt experience. It's not something that is in, like a vision. It's a deep inner knowing that comes through understanding your own triggers and your own pain, and allowing spirit to come in and to connect into those parts of yourself. So yes.
Yeah.
Long story.
Long story, but good. What does being a medium give you, do you think? What's it allow for you?
What does it allow for me? It allows me to feel the part of me to express a part of me that is needed. That feeling of connecting in with spirit, for me, just being in that flow, like I just feel it. It's like a light bulb goes off in my body, and there's no greater feeling. I know it sounds very cliche to be of service to humanity and to others, and I know that I'm doing that. But I think more importantly, being in service to yourself, learning that art of cultivation of self-love and self-care, and to be able to, it's like I don't want to say helping, I want to say guiding people into their own terrain, into their own underworld, and journey within there to understand the uniqueness of their own soul's medicine, so to speak. So for me, mediumship is much more than just it needs to be much more than just, I have your, your uncle here, I have your mother or father here. It's like, I want to touch your soul. There's a part of you, I want you to feel the experience of what that would feel like. For me, when I see someone breaking down, like they're crying with joy or happiness, like, I touched a soul. That's what I'm planting seeds within someone, that hopefully one day they open up to another realm that is more than just their life. It's in other worlds. It's other it's part of their consciousness that they may have not tapped into.
In a way, it sounds, and don't take this negatively because it's going to sound like when I say it, but it's almost like spreading the religious message. I'm allowing God to touch your heart. Like if I was a Mormon preacher or something, that's an example. In a way, it's like that, isn't it? Because you're a conduit to allowing somebody else to receive the message. We'll call it that.
I understand what you're saying there. I see it as planting seeds.
Okay.
Planting seeds, like I'm the gardener and I'm just planting a seed. And that seed within you, whether it's God, whether it's your consciousness, whether it's coming to a realization of that there's more to life than what I have just experienced, that maybe there's something deeper within myself. Maybe I have soul gifts. I know through my journey in navigating the underworld, there's the parts of us that are in need of our tender loving care. And we offer those parts of ourselves, that self-compassion, that self-love. But through that experience, we also see the alchemy of the journey, the alchemy and giving birth to our own soul's gifts. So whether that is a deeper connection with yourself, whether it's helping, let's say being a healer or being a teacher or helping school kids, that have, or young children that have, psychic gifts, it takes form. It just opens up a different level of awareness is what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be mediumship. It doesn't have to be God. Everyone has a different understanding of God and a very unique way of what that may mean to you. Some people don't even like the word God. I can use that, but for other, it's like a spiritual awareness, or it's a different level of consciousness, whatever that is for you. But I feel that journey is just pointing you inwards into you, not out there into here, because that's
you're basically a person with a lot of keys, because what you're doing is going into someone, aren't you, and opening a door that they might not know is there, or they know is locked, and you've opened a door and given them an opportunity to walk into another area.
And I would rather be the person that stands by them and get them to have the answers come up for them. So it's like, yes, there are keys there. I'm not going to give you the key. You've got the key, and let it. It's like
use it.
You use it. You can open the door, or you do not open the door. But I've planted the seed, the awareness that they have the keys.
And that there is a door, yeah.
And that there is a door. And I'll walk with you if you need someone to walk with you.
I like it. I like it a lot. Next questions. And these both come together, so I'll ask them both together. How do you communicate with spirit? And then the most important part of it is, how do you discern the message or whatever is trying to be conveyed versus your own mind or thoughts? I keep asking this one, and I don't know if the answers I get are universal, so I ask it of everyone.
Okay, all right. So the first question is, how do I communicate with spirit?
Yes.
Okay. That has changed and evolved over time. And as I've learned to understand the tapestry of my own soul, my nervous system, my body, all the experiences that I've gone through, when spirit comes through now, it's like I feel them come in. It's like I embody them. I have, the sensations and the feelings that I know, that the inner gut feeling, that comes from that claircognizance, that inner knowing is just like, I know that, your wife had motor neuron disease. I know that feeling because I can feel it within my body. I also see things as well. So I'm getting those experiences. It's like a full body experience.
You're
It's
getting
really,
everything then. Whoa.
okay?
You're getting
Yeah,
everything.
I do. I do. Sometimes it's the inner knowing that's coming through at the moment that is so, so, so strong. But then, like I'll get visions as well. Like I'll see visions or I'll smell things as well, like different perfumes and flowers and that sort of thing. I'll also hear, like I might get little words every now and then, but it's probably more the inner knowing that comes through. It's just like, I know this feeling. And that's why I really resonate with people, the communicators that come through that have had similar experiences to myself in this lifetime, because I know those feelings. I know what it feels like in the body. It's funny because a lot of I've known mediums that, oh, I don't like that feeling. Tell it to go away, tell it to go away. But that's because their triggers within themselves have been activated and they haven't quite processed or run those triggers in the nervous system yet. And that's why they get a bit, oh, that feels a bit uncomfortable for me. It's just like I can't feel like I embody the experience. I know this. So the second question that you asked was, how do you know it's not your own mind?
Yes.
It's the spirit. Okay, well, that's a very interesting one because I feel that your imagination has to be a part of that in some ways. Learning as I was developing and learning, it's like a tap, as you turn the tap on, at first all the stuff comes out. It's like, well, I don't know what. But as you learn about yourself, you learn about your psychic faculties, how they work, how it's taken a while for spirit to actually work with me as well as I work with the energies. I know it. It's like, I know this feeling. I know that I have your grandfather here. I know that experience. I know that feeling because I feel it so embodied. But also in platform, this is why I went down mediumship first and not healing, funny enough, because I am very analytical myself. I come from, corporate background. Everything has to make sense.
Well, it does though, doesn't it? Because otherwise we can't live.
Yeah, it's like, no, I need to prove. I need the proof. And that's why I went into mediumship, because you would say to me, the person or the sitter of the seat, yes, that is him. That's the essence. Yes, he, like my granddad used to smoke cigarettes. Yes, my granddad used to swear a lot. Yes, my granddad used to hide mints from me. Yes, that's my grandfather because he would spin his teeth around his false teeth. Those sorts of things. It's like, yes, yes, yes. That got me. But then there's a part of me that needed that validation. Now it's like my soul's calling me to another area where I'm going more into that healing, guiding realm. And I have to let go of the training bars a little bit, but even though I'll have guides come through and I'll have like spirit people come through, a lot of the journey, I'm just guiding people through those experiences. I might say, and I've had quite strong visions where I've had a guides are starting to come through. That's not something that normally would happen to me. It's not something that is taught in my very traditional mediumship background, because that's why I wanted to learn from the best of the best and go to a very old school tradition and learn it the proper way. Now I've got to throw away, all the books that I've been learning. It's like, I need to follow my soul. I need to follow where my soul's taking me on this journey, which is going more into medium, going more into healing, and it's going more into that the guide, the navigator, the teacher.
Mm. So, in other words, or to go alongside with it, you don't need to worry about your mind or thoughts because the other bit is so strong that you know that that's not you. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. The part of me that goes, it's just like it comes out. It's like, yeah, I know this. I know this for a fact. But it's not to say, when I was developing, because we have this inner voice going on the whole time. Absolutely. And that's the part I think that a lot of, and I did, that sort of kept me, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm not this. Oh, I'm not that. Oh, I'm making it up. Oh, this is shit. Whatever. This inner critic, this inner voice,
Yes.
you're perfect, got to be right. And a lot of the, it's funny because I have a lot of mediums come through this experience. It's like we have to, tap into those parts of ourselves that are critiquing all the time, that need to be perfect all of the time. Quieten those voices down in order for spirit to come through and start being comfortable with that. And I think that comes from confidence within yourself. The more you develop your inner confidence, the more that you practice that, the more you sit with spirit, the more that it starts to flow. It's like that tap. At first it's going to be all, sort of, there's a lot of dust and particles, and you're understanding the whole, how does it work, how's this experience, until it just starts to flow quite naturally like water. And stepping into that flow and that ease, and not judging yourself and not having to be perfect with it either.
I like that. That's one thing I struggle with in life is not being perfect. I always aim for it. My
We're the
mind
worst
tells me,
critics of
"Oh,
ourselves.
in it, just what percentage or what part does interpretation stroke translation of a message play a part for you? Because imagine someone like who only hears spirit or sees them, like someone who doesn't have the cognizance like you do. You have this deep knowing. There has to be some measure of translation or interpretation of the message to get that onto people, which then could lead to less accuracy, so to speak. Does that play a part for you or not?
So it's got to go through your own mental, I guess, your thoughts, your projections, how you interpret. Um, and that's why I was taught anyway, this is like being just giving as you get, not trying to embellish it, not trying to add something on, to create this story. If it's simple, it's simple. Be simple with it. Don't try and overcomplicate it. But it's your own thinking and your own thought processes that actually get in the way of that, or leads you down a merry garden path. It's like you might think of, let's say I had an experience of playing on the swings, when I was a child, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
And then I may go on my own memory of that and going off the beaten track, and the spirit's like, that's not where I was taking you.
I was going to say, I hated swings, yeah.
No, not down there. Stay here. There was a swings, but I want to go somewhere else. So it's following spirit's lead instead of your story. And that's an art and skill in itself, isn't it?
Getting out the way of yourself, yeah.
Absolutely. And, like, how trained are we in that? Every day, what's leading us? Our stories. What we tell ourselves.
What's leading me is my stomach half the time.
Well, I think women have more thoughts than what men do in a day, I believe.
Right, we're ending this interview now. That's deeply, deeply sexist. I jest, of course.
So those challenging experiences, it's not the challenge, it's not the traumatic experience itself, it's the stories that hurt us, that keep us locked in pain, isn't it? It's not, the experience comes and goes, but it's the meaning that we give it, the stories that we give it.
Yeah, you're
It's
right.
a little bit like that plays out in, whatever areas that you are in life, whether it's, your mediumship or your intuitive or, your work. It plays out in all areas, and it's understanding that those stories are not, the lead. They're not the ones that are leading the show. You're leading the show, not the stories.
Not the stories, yeah. Because we put weight on the stories, and that's what essentially
We
trauma is,
do,
is
don't
the
we?
weight of the story. It's not the event. It's the weight of the event. Yeah, it's weird. Right, I saw from a write-up that you specialise in the unfinished business. Is this the area that you said that you're now leaning into?
So the unfinished business as I said, comes very naturally for me, and that's because of my own soul's journey through a lot of the traumatic experiences that I've had. I've had, beautiful friends that have passed over through suicide, through drug addictions. I've had, my own experiences as well. So those unfinished business for me are people that never got to say goodbye, that never got to, even though in a way now it's really they've had an experience in life, whether it's an unfinished business in their perspective, it probably isn't. It went the way that it was, that it went. It's the person that's here that never got to say goodbye. It's the person here that never got um, to heal, to heal from that grief, to heal from that, that pain, that traumatic experience. And so I gravitate, for me, that just becomes quite natural to be able to tell their story because of my own, experiences. I feel there's a need there, and I am I guess, the storyteller of their lives. And it's an absolute honor and a privilege to do that for them, because they may have felt so much darkness and so much pain in their life that they never got to express what they really wanted to express.
Mm. Does the transformational coaching aspect touch that as well? Is it the same thing?
In a way, it does, doesn't it?
Mm.
It's the shadow elements, but I'm working more with people that are in pain in this lifetime, that are going through the dark night of the soul,
Mm.
that have splintered off in some ways. They've got that call for transformation, and they're going through that period where it's like a death, a spiritual death, where you lose all sense of reality. Your world is fall apart. You could be going through grief, you could be going through a divorce, something earth shattering. When I went through it, I had about 4 or 5 things happen at once. It was like, oh my God. And it was like, wow. And I lost, people come to me, it's like they've lost faith. They've lost faith in themselves, but they've lost faith in something else. And so you go through, it's like an emptiness, and it's earth shattering, and it's like an emptiness that comes about. And it's a refinement in some ways, but going through it can be quite how can I say, dark and heavy. But through it, we have to let go of some of those parts of ourselves that are no longer serving us. Those old beliefs, those old habits, those old behaviors. The ego it's like the ego has to let go and allow the soul, the essence of the soul and being soul led, coming more into the forefront. For me, going through, like, my experience was around grief. And grief is a very powerful teacher. Grief will put you to your knees. And through that experience of grief, I went through a very dark space. It was like a death. It just felt like it was overwhelming and for me. And I've learned to navigate life now with grief. As grief is my teacher. Grief wants to come through. It needs to be seen. It needs to be witnessed. It needs to be, I can't push it aside. I can't, fix it, transform it. It wants to be with me. And it's leading me into this pathway now where I'm creating this soul business where I'm supporting others and helping others to navigate that tapestry, of their own experiences in their own life, to make meaning of that and to bring about their own transformational journeys back into their lives so that they can actually stand forth in their own soul gifts and use their own soul medicine to create what it is they want to create in this lifetime. So it's using those pain and that challenging experiences in our life to create something that is with our soul, with where our soul is wanting us to go towards. So you can either surrender to the experience or suffer.
Yeah, we've covered this. We don't want to suffer. We are not suffering.
Don't want to suffer.
Are there any stories that you could share of anyone that you've helped out? And you can leave out personal details if needs be, or if you don't want to cover anything, I understand.
Sure. So I've had a couple recently. So I had I'll say this is a young woman that came to me, and very gifted in all of her, psychic, her intuition, her mediumship, all of that. Very, very gifted. However, felt not safe here. Like just felt the experience of not feeling safe here, and wanting to. It's like using, and I see this quite a lot, not grounded at all. It's like I want to be somewhere else. But what she was saying was like post-traumatic stress was coming, PTSD, where, her experience as a child, what she'd been through kept coming through for her quite a lot in, of recent, and having to navigate that through some of the challenging situations she was going through with her parents as well, because her parents were quite elderly and they were just, it was bringing up a lot of stuff for her. So she wants to be in a gift. She wants to go and explore the world, but not feeling safe, not feeling grounded within herself, but also having some experiences as well where there was felt like there was some harmful energies or something quite dark around her. So for me, the journey with this beautiful soul was actually to create safety within the body, to help her to navigate the parts of her that were, sort of not feeling safe, seen, needing to express what was happening, creating foundations and spiritual practices within herself to create that grounding, to create that safety, to be able to meet those parts of a self that needed tendering to. And not, projecting outside that I have to be a savior, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to be something in the world, I have to be out there. It's tendering, it's like we need to put the oxygen on ourselves first and take care of ourselves first before we can take care of anyone else. Yeah. So those spiritual practices were really important. And it's funny, I kept seeing, I'm getting this a lot lately. It's like, there's a guide here for you. And it's like, that's, I was seeing it was a beautiful woman that was working with herbs and plants and that sort of thing. So she's just beginning to tap into some of her soul gifts as well. But more importantly, she was at a point where she knew that she needed to tap in within herself first. She needed to explore those parts that were keeping her stuck in patterns and behaviors that were not serving her. That feeling of not feeling grounded, having gone through, quite a journey in her lifetime to get to this point. So that was one. So as I said, I've helped a number of people through, some of these journeys as well. There's another gentleman, and very gifted, again, very gifted soul, absolutely gifted, but again, not feeling grounded. And this part of just being in pain, being, in an experience where they just can't seem to get anything right in their life. It's like no areas of their life was it working out for them, and wanting to feel, that experience of their gifts of working with spirit, and feeling more safer out there than actually in here. But you're no good out there if you can't find that grounding within yourself. So again, that journey was to go into those parts of themselves, and a lot of inner child comes through. We have to go and tend to that inner child part, all those other parts of ourselves that have been, that are overridden with, with guilt or with shame or whatever it is. We're bringing them back. But the journey is so fascinating because I'm not telling anyone anything. They're coming up with all the resources that they need. They come up with the soul has a wisdom that comes through in those transformational spaces for them. And it's like they can see the wisdom of their own soul. And it's funny, like when I see them afterwards and just those few, because they usually go through 6 to 12 sessions. So, when they've gone through 6 sessions, it's remarkable what I see, the energy that, shift and change in them and how they're stepping in and flourishing in some, in most areas of their life. But having to, first of all, tap into their own inner world, finding that safety and cultivating that safety within themselves, to journey into those parts of themselves that are holding them back in some ways or still acting as a protector, but, from an immature space, and being able to find the beauty in their story, the beauty within their own souls and soul's medicine, to be able to then step out and go, well, what is it I'm going to create in this world now? Where am I going to go? Where am I led to? And some of it is just like, I just want to feel better within myself.
Hell yeah.
It is. You just want to feel better about yourself. But this is beautiful because this is when you can go into that create. And I love being in the space of the creator. Like I'm just in my creator space. It's like my channeling space. I'm just channeling and downloading and, creating transformational programs because that's what I'm at the moment. What can I create that going to help people not only tap into their own underworld, but what magic can I create that helps them to step in and to find their soul gifts and then to create whatever it is that they want to create in this lifetime, doing something you're passionate about, what you love, knowing that you're still going to have challenges along the way. However, you're going to be a lot more stronger within yourself to be able to handle those.
What's interesting in all of this is that everyone has the key in themselves.
They do.
Don't they? That everyone has the answers within themselves. It's just they need to be not necessarily led, maybe shown, maybe guided, whatever words you want to use. So in this instance, you're the guide, aren't you? Because you're guiding them to their own answers.
I am guiding them to their own answers. And I think that's very important because my experiences in life are not your experiences in life. And I would be projecting onto you if I was to tell you how you should live your life. I don't think anyone wants that. Instead, I would want someone show me the wisdom of my soul, show me, how do I tap into that? And having someone that, that I've had a similar experience to you, I know this journey, and finding the beauty within your own soul through you making that journey, I think is far more incredible than someone saying, oh, you've got this going on or you've got that going on. It doesn't tell me anything. I need to have that lived experience. I need to have that experiential experience for me to be able to understand it, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I think people need to be, and I don't like this word because it's overused these days, but empowerment. Everyone needs to be empowered themselves because by doing it yourself, you gain more than if someone shows you how to do something.
It's funny you should say that because I have set up a group called Soul Empowerment Academy, and
sorry, I just think it's overused these days.
Is there another word that explains that? Because I am so big on soul, like you empowering yourself. You have the wisdom to know what your life is about, what your journey is about, where you need to go into, what areas do you need to tap into, and what is the wisdom, what is the medicine that I am bringing into this world, whether it's, for me and only for me, and, maybe I want to just create art. Maybe I just want to do, live a very peaceful life on a farm. That's my soul medicine.
With chickens.
Being connected to nature. Yeah. That might be it, whatever that is for you. but you coming up with that, I think that's the God, that's the alchemy.
It is. You're absolutely right. We have 10 minutes before we have to enter the Koit zone. So we're going to cram a shitload of stuff into the bigger picture section now.
Okay.
So let's see what we can do here. I always ask this of everyone as well, because it's interesting to see the different answers. But how do you see the universe working? So how does the spirit world interact with this? How do you think the universe works?
Well, let's go down the rabbit hole, hey?
Yes, let's do it.
How do I see the universe working? This is my experience, I guess. I think that we are in one dimension of the universe, and I feel like there are other dimensions and other places and other journeys. But I think it's all within ourselves, and it's tapping into that wisdom within ourselves. Instead of looking at it outside, I want to turn inward, because we're a universe in ourselves, aren't we? I feel we are. We're a universe within ourselves. And, the self, when I talk about the soul empowerment, that whole journey is tapping into the universe of your soul's creative, your soul's essence in this lifetime. I think that's where we connect in. And I know, as I feel with mediumship, when I'm connecting into my gift as a medium, I'm feeling it within my body. And I feel like our experiences within ourselves is really a reflection of our outer world as well.
To revisit some of that, the innerness of us, is there an external dimensions of other things, or is everything layers within us?
I feel like everything is layers within us.
Okay. So we're basically, our skin is like a big onion.
We are a big onion, aren't we? We just peel away the layers.
Do you like onions?
Well, they talk about onion mediumship, don't they? Just peeling away the layers.
Oh, I don't know that. I've not heard that before. But do you like onions to eat?
No.
No, me neither. Horrible things, aren't they?
Unless they're cooked on the barbie.
Oh, really? So no, that's even worse. I don't like that smell of cooking onions. Get rid of that.
Oh, that's such an Aussie thing. Yeah, no, I feel like the universe is actually within us, and what we see on the outside is actually a representation of what's in the inside. But I guess we don't know what we don't know, and we won't know until we actually get there what that feels like. But our skin, really, it's just a shell.
I'm going to ask you a dangerous, well, it's not a dangerous question, but it feels like it's dangerous.
Okay.
Are you looking forward to dying so that you know what's next?
I have no fear of death whatsoever. None.
But do you look forward to it, though? Or are you just thinking...
I wouldn't say that I look forward to it. I just don't have a fear of it. And that is because where I am at in my life now, I'm actually enjoying, I'm finding passion, I'm finding purpose, I'm finding, what fulfills me. And I love being in that space of enjoying those beautiful moments. But when my time comes, I have no fear of that. None whatsoever. And if it was to come sooner, so be it. If it's later on, so be it. But I don't have a fear. What I would have a fear of is that if I didn't live my life and create something meaningful to leave behind, that's what I would have a fear of.
That's fair. You need some measure of legacy then.
I need a legacy. Yeah. Definitely.
I think I'm on exactly the same page as you. I don't care if I die tomorrow or 20, 30 years. I'm not scared of it. And that's the only thing I've thought about is a legacy. Because I don't have kids, so I can't legacy that way. But I can legacy through my creations and my music or whatever,
Absolutely. And also through this medium as well, being able to sit with other people and share stories and, to dive deeper into the different realms and consciousness, that is leaving a legacy as well. But I totally hear what you're saying. It's like I needed to leave something of me here. something that, even if it's not me, but I'm helping someone to give birth, like there's a part of me that feels like I'm a soul birther, I'm helping other people to give birth to their souls. And that sounds very extreme, but that's how I feel.
No, that's fair. If that's how you feel, it's real to you. That makes sense. Are we alone or are there aliens? And supplementary question, have you ever communicated spiritually with aliens?
Okay. All right. So I come home and my father will have his sunglasses, on at night time watching TV. And of course, he's watching ET channels. He's watched everything to do with aliens.
Good on
two
him.
brothers that are like that as well. So I come home and I go, yeah, I'm in the right family. So have I had experiences with alien? I have seen UFOs, yes.
Oh, amazing.
I have. My auntie and uncle actually run off the road by an alien, a UFO on the Nullarbor, going back years and years and years ago. This is just before I was even born. My father used to be a truck driver and he has seen UFOs, and my brothers swear when they were younger that they had an experience. But have I seen an alien? No. Do I believe in them? Mm-hmm.
What was that? Mm-hmm. Was that like it's a yes? Okay, that's a yes.
I do believe them. Yes.
But
yes.
I've spoken to other mediums.
In the spirit world, there's got to be aliens.
Yeah, of course. And here's my question then. So I've spoken to other mediums who've said they also have had messages from aliens. So how does that happen? It's never happened to you.
No.
It's because my follow-up question would have been, are then we just one soul, just incarnated into an alien, incarnated into a human, etc.?
Well, this is my feelings on this. If we're here, why aren't there other life forces out there? And I've gone into areas with exploring my intuition, mediumship, giftware, remote viewing, where I have read some fascinating books, but that whole remote viewing where it's like the what have they got, psychic spies, they can see what's going on across the world. But there was one book that I read where they were actually using the psychic spies to tune into what was going on the moon and Mars and that sort of thing, and they would pick up aliens. So no, they haven't come in through my mediumship, but that's okay. But the rest of the family, that's their oh God, go down that rabbit hole with them. I'll never come back.
Well, do you follow up again then? Knowing that your family is well into that stuff, right? Would you ever sit down with spirits of an evening and just have, like I say, an hour Q&A and ask all the questions you want to ask? Like, so are there aliens? And do you think you would get an answer if you did that?
I don't know. I might try that tonight. I'll let you know how I go.
But can you do that? Like, can you do a Q&A with alien? Your spirit guides and stuff.
You can. I find it easier in channel than I do with mediumship. In channel, it just feels like it's more of a lived experience where I just get downloads after downloads. But I might ask that question tonight, actually, when I sit down and go into channel and just see what comes about. But I feel that as souls, not only in Earth School, but there are other, there are other planets, there's other, sort of dimensions around us. I know that my spiritual teachers, when I was in my 20s, were talked about the whole soul work and soul gift, but they talked about different soul groups or soul pods, and star seeds, and then there's earthbounds, and then there was other areas. So you could go down a rabbit hole, but I just stuck with about what's going on in my own lived experience and my making meaning of that, I guess, then going down rabbit holes, which I don't mind some nights, but yes, there's other nights where I'll just stick with what I know.
No, that's fair enough. You don't necessarily want to give yourself too much to think about. I get all that. I just know that what I'm like, I would have to sit down and have Q&As on this, and to try and know everything about everything. Maybe
So
that's
that's
too
a
much.
very analytical part of you. It's like, I need to know how all this works and how we pull it all together. Do you come from an engineering background? Is there some sort of engineering background with you?
Not personally, but my mind is that way, even though I'm not
Right,
in it.
yeah.
I'm more a
Systems and
creative person.
processes, and this goes with that, and that's got to go into there, and that's how that goes with that. Yeah.
When I worked for companies, I was always the systems and process guy,
Oh, okay.
but not literally an engineer. I wasn't building things or anything, but
It's funny because my background is creating systems and processes
there you
in the
go.
workplace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a good mind for that stuff, and I would have done it, but no, creativity is my main love. Right,
Yeah.
we are now going to enter the Koit zone. Koit zone. So, more questions for you, Sharon. Weirder though, weirder questions. Think along the lines of Onion. That question. This is what this is.
We're going to just peel back another layer.
Peel back another layer of randomness and weirdness. So let's start with, what is the best smell?
Jasmine.
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 The flower, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't know it, but I kind of will have to go and, when I'm next in the garden centre or something, I'll make a point to go and smell some.
Think about jasmine sitting outside at night time and just that waft and that smell, because it's a beautiful perfume, absolutely exquisite.
I'll have to take your word for it. I don't know
it. So I love flowers. I love
Jasmine.
scent.
Fair play. Thank you for that one. What song would you say is the song that you know all the lyrics to and that you would sing loud and proud whilst alone?
I don't want to tell you that one.
Yes, you do. Is it Midnight Oil Beds Are Burning?
Oh, I've seen them in concert. I could take, because I go to the gym every morning and I need pumpy music really.
Oh,
and I come from a very let's just say bogan background.
okay.
Let's say AC/DC in the morning. Yeah, gets me to the gym. I can sing all the lyrics. I know it. Yeah.
Do you piss all the other people off in the gym while you were singing?
Okay.
You're singing in your mind. Yeah, I get it.
A range of music there.
That's good. What would you consider your favourite sweets?
Apple pie and ice cream.
Apple pie and ice cream, eh? Cheeky. Like it. What's the best thing you found after moving into a house?
When everything has been laid out and everything is being put away.
Oh, okay.
And everything has order, and then I can sit down in peace and go, oh, I'm home.
I liked that answer, but I'm going to ask the question again because my intention again was something slightly different. You know, like when you move into a new property, and there's always something random, like you find in the attic or something like that you never expected to have been left by the previous owner.
Oh, okay, leftover.
Has that ever happened to you? And what's the best thing that you think has been left over for you to find?
Oh, I don't think that's ever happened to me.
Oh.
No,
that's good then. We'll take your first answer.
No, I don't think it has. No, there might be something in the shed like pots or something like that, but never any. Here, you've got to make sure, rental homes and all that sort of thing, you've got to clean, make sure everything is spick and span to a T. It needs to be twinkling. So, no, we don't often have that.
No, that's fair. What is the worst physical injury you've had?
Physical injury? I recently tore my calf. That wasn't fun.
Tore your calf muscle? Oh, God, yeah. That's not fun. Feels like you've been shot.
I've had broken legs. I've had broken arms. I've had quite a lot of broken bones growing up. But the last one, I think the torn calf muscle, that wasn't very pleasant at all.
No, not fun. Not fun at all. I've had that myself. What is the best thing on TV?
The best thing on TV?
Yeah. Let's just go for like now. So what's currently airing on TV? Some sort of series that you're binging or anything.
Well, I'm watching a show at the moment called The Power with young girls that have got this telekinesis power. Um, that's I've been watching that. I just find that sort of I like different shows. I like something more sci-fi. Yeah, I knew you'd like that.
Exactly.
Star Wars. Yeah.
Excellent. I'll look up that.
I love all of that stuff.
Yeah. Excellent. Well played. Yeah, sci-fi is amazing. I will look up this. It's called The Power.
The Power, yeah, it's on Apple TV actually. There's another one on Apple TV where, oh, you'd like this one, where it's all about different dimensions. So it's about I forgot, it's an Australian actor that plays the main part, but it's about different dimensions. So he's able to create a box that could take him into different dimensions of, or, different universes where he was playing out in different parallel universes. And it's one part that created the box and the part that was in now where he was with the white. That was fascinating.
Yeah, it's a good series. Yeah, I watched it. I watched it about a month ago. Yeah, it was good. There's a second season of that coming. I read the other day.
Is there?
Yeah, it's a good one. I do like those ones. What is your favourite landscape? I.e., like forest, beach, mountains, whatever. What do you like best?
Water. I've got the ocean, the river, anywhere near the water. I love the water.
Can you swim?
I can. I'm not really good at it though.
That's okay. As long as you can do it a little bit to get out, then you're winning.
I love there's just something very magical about being near water and very healing for me as well.
Yeah, I also like the water. I can't swim. I do get in, but I can't swim. But I do also love the water. It's something magical about it. In the summer, no socks or socks with shoes.
This is a very English thing, isn't it?
It can be. Could be Australian. I don't know. Do you wear socks with shoes in the summer?
No socks.
Nice sweaty soles in the shoes.
Sandals and socks. No.
Okay, fair play. Good. I'm glad you went that way anyway. I was expecting that. Is there a job that you've been meaning to do for ages that you just haven't gotten around to doing yet, or you've been deliberately putting off?
A job, like a house chore or something.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of those.
Yeah, tell me one. You can't get away with just saying yes.
Okay, all right. Cleaning underneath my bed. I know I've got to get under there.
Yeah,
I know.
Not good.
I know.
I'll tell you a story, right? On that very thing about cleaning under your bed. Years ago, when I lived at home with mum and my dad, I knew the underside of my bed was gross and dusty and stuff, right? And I hate spiders. And when I went into there with a handheld, there was like 15 of them. I hate that.
No, I'm getting on. Oh, there's a job tomorrow then. No way.
Especially with the spiders in Australia. Sodding hell.
I know. There's a lot of things that bite, sting, and zap your hair.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm glad to be in England. We don't have that malarkey. Right, that leads us to the last question in the Koit Zone, which is you are only allowed to eat one meal for the rest of your life. Always the same meal. What are you choosing?
One meal. That's it.
Forever.
Sweets or savoury?
You can choose whatever you want because you're one meal.
No.
Yeah. I'm not giving you parameters. You have to choose.
Roast chicken.
Oh,
roast dinner.
For like roast dinner with roast chicken, yeah.
Roast dinner.
That's good.
Can't eat a roast dinner.
I agree. And supplementary question again. Shitloads of gravy or just some gravy?
It's got to have the right amount, doesn't it? It can't be too much, but it can't be too little either. Just the right amount.
Is there such a thing as too much gravy? If you've got a spoon, you can drink it.
Sauce on a roast dinner, like seriously?
Oh, like tomato ketchup and brown sauce and stuff.
Yeah,
well, they're wrong uns, aren't they? They're wrong people.
I know. That's just no.
No, get out. Never come back. Thank you. That is the end of the Koit Zone, which leads us to our final two questions. The first of which is, what else do you like to do in your downtime? Any activities or guilty pleasures?
What else do I like to do in my daytime?
In your
Okay, so I
downtime, yeah.
like to work out. I think my physical training that is so important to me. So I do a lot of mental health activities. So I'm always in nature. I'm always training. I lift weights, and I love lifting heavy weights. I love being creative as well. So I'm bringing a bit of spirit art into play, and I love being
Nice.
creative.
Excellent. Well played. That leads us to our final question. Is there a project that you're currently working on? Something that you're putting all your energies into?
I am a platesmanner. I have got a
Ah,
lot of projects on the go. I can't just do one thing. I've got to do about six different things. So I'm working with a business coach at the moment. I'm creating a transformational program. I'm looking at developing mediumship, but in a more therapeutic sense as well. So I'm coming up with some sort of context around what that might look like. I'm also thinking a bit of creativity will be going into that, a bit of art or creativity. It's like grief pots that's coming through for me as well. And I love doing my own spirit art as well.
so yeah, lots of things on the go. Fair play to you for doing that. I like it when
Mm.
people have a load of projects on the go, but they all get finished.
Yeah, yeah, that's really important. That's why I
Yes.
make sure that I have my list of things, I have my goals. So, and then I work on three things at a time, like only three things for that week, and then
And
move
then you
on.
can
But
tick them off the list, and that's
yeah,
fine.
and I love ticking things off. But I come from a project management background, so I
Yes,
know
yeah.
how to get that all through, how to schedule it all and make sure it all happens and when to do what, when to start what, and how to get pieces together. But at the moment, my business is all about building foundations. Funny enough, foundations coming through a lot, making sure those foundations in place before I start to create more because I just love creating.
Get that legacy going. Yeah, that's what that
Yes,
is.
yes.
Sharon, thank you ever so much for coming on today. I much appreciate your time.
Thank
What?
you.
No, no worries. What I would say to everyone listening, go and check out links in the description to Sharon's site. The services and stuff she offers on there, so go and check those out. Yeah, Sharon, thank you ever so much. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having me. I
It's been an
appreciate it.
absolute pleasure. Goodbye, everyone. See you on the next one. To watch other KoitCast episodes, please click the image top left. To subscribe to my channel, please click the image top right. Please like and share to help KoitCast grow, and most importantly of all, please click the notification bell so you never miss an upload.